Hey folks, it's another episode of the Gary and Mark Show, and I'm Gary.
And I am Mark.
And we're coming to you, not live.
But we are alive.
We are.
And where are we, Gary?
We are in front of the water wheel here at Camp Mondamin, the camp where we first met in 1971.
1971.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
49 years ago.
Yeah.
And so today we're going to do something different.
Yes.
Which is?
We're going to recreate our attempt to find the cabin at Beech Point, which we didn't find in 1971.
No, and if our listeners heard an earlier episode, they would have heard the story. But so now we're going to try to actually find the camp. So we're going to do it in segments. If you're listening to the podcast via audio on your radio or whatever computer, you might want to check out the YouTube version because it will be showing us live attempting to take this strenuous hike.
Oh yes, and what I'm unfolding in front of you is a map of the back 40. This map was produced by Kelly Crocker through much study in 1976.
So we didn't have that map in 71.
We didn't have this map back in 1971. What the acreage behind the camp was just known as the back 40. There were about 1,600 acres back there.
Wow.
Where you could wander around and
there's still hundreds and hundreds of acres back
there. Are.
They're owned by the camp.
Yeah.
So this is the same camp we worked for, and
still run by the same family.
Be 100 years old.
Third generation running this camp now.
All right, ready to head over to our cabin?
Here we go. Let's go to the cabin.
So where are we now, Gary?
Here we are. We're in front of our cabins from June camp of 1971.
Cool.
Sleepy Hollow East.
That was my cabin.
And mine was Sleepy Hollow West.
And people should know that I was 19, first year out of college. You were 21?
I was going to be, I was 21. I was going to turn 22 at the end of that summer.
What happened?
I did.
Oh, okay. You said you were going
later.
Okay, later.
In August.
So brand new camp counselor. I mean, I not even set foot in a camp. I did go to a YMCA camp for a couple summers.
Yeah.
But Gary's my mentor, experienced.
Yeah.
2.5 years my senior, maybe, not quite. But he's a backwoodsman forever.
Actually, no.
But you made me think you were.
Well, I'd been to the back 40. I'd been back there, but the cabin we were going to go look for, Beech Point, had just recently been built, and I had not been there.
Yeah, and we thought that'd be okay because, of course, there was no map.
We thought it was okay because there was a kid in your cabin.
March Wells.
It was March Wells.
It was, and he was from Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken.
Louisville, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, he had been on a Jeep ride with Chief.
And you know, and that Jeep is still up there. If I think about it, I'll take a still picture before we leave.
He'd been on a Jeep. Chief, the founder of the camp, actually, this is his next to last summer being in charge.
So he was in his 70s.
He was 73 in 1971.
Seems young now, doesn't it? Oh, gosh.
And that was a real treat for the kids to go on a Jeep ride with Chief. And he would go back and wind all around the back 40. And of course, he had it all dialed in his head.
He had.
And so March knew where it was. And
all right, we're going to even back up a little bit before that because remember, I've never been backpacking, and you had at least been.
Yeah, I'd been.
And the camp expects the cabins to go out on cabin night at least, once a week. Even if the kids can sign up and go hiking for 5 days, but once a week, they go out for an overnight.
Yeah.
And so my first experience, never been. I had the clothing list from camp. It said, you need a frame backpack, you need a sleeping bag. Well, I didn't know there was such thing as a camping store, a backpacking store, with people who knew what they were talking about. Gary's worked at one for 30-something years, right?
Well, yeah.
At least. So I went to what was the equivalent of a Kmart in Durham. I can't remember the name of the store. And they had this great-looking backpack for $5. To me, and now, in 1971, 5 may have been the equivalent of 30 now. But it was a cheap backpack. Frame, aluminum frame, canvas pack, no hip belt. I didn't know. I think just plain old straps here, but I had my backpack. My sleeping bag was cotton. Must have weighed 20 pounds, or
Yeah.
felt like it. About this big around,
Yeah.
strapped on the back with I don't even remember what. And so I'm already looking bad, feeling bad, out of shape, I guess. I was 19, I don't know what kind of shape I was in. And getting ready to follow Gary. And how many kids did we have?
Well, let's see, 6 each, so 12 kids.
12 kids, about 11 years old probably.
Yeah.
Okay. From all over the U.S., I don't remember,
Yeah.
you know. And we took off for this adventure that should have lasted how long, Gary?
Well, let's see.
If we had known, or the boy had really known where we were going.
Well, I mean, it lasted,
Yeah, we know it lasted a while.
It-
Like Gilligan's Island, kind of.
I mean, the plan was you go out and to a campsite and spend the night and cook your supper and then come back the next day.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I meant if a normal person like us today maybe left here, how long should it take to get
To get to Beech Point, oh, maybe an hour and a half.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to make this podcast an hour and a half.
No, we're not.
So stay tuned. We're
Yeah.
going to shut down and head over to the trail.
Okay. We're down at the Mondamin riding area. We're sitting on the porch of the corn crib. This is about maybe 200 yards from where we started our overnight hike.
And it's probably where I started getting tired. My shoulder was hurting, my feet were hurting, and I was ready to turn around.
Well, at this point, it started raining. So the kids stop and they go to get their ponchos. Well, the ponchos they had were these military surplus ponchos made for adults. They go to put those on, and of course they should have packed these in the top of their pack, but in many cases they were in the bottom, so they get everything out of their pack and then get the poncho, put the stuff back in the pack, and then put the ponchos on. And once they had the ponchos on, the hems of the ponchos are touching the ground. I mean, so you couldn't see the kids' feet.
Or beyond for some of them, I'm sure.
They looked like an army of little monks. And this is where we were, and it's raining, and so this probably took up the first, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes of the trip.
Yep. And Camp packs you food for usually dinner and breakfast or whatever, so they don't want you coming back.
No.
If it rains, they want you going out.
No, if you're
So-
if you're signed up to go, you go.
And so today it feels like fall.
It does.
It does. So it feels good, but no rain in sight, so that's even better. Let's head on.
Okay. Boom.
Boom.
Hey folks, we're back, and now we're up at the gate that leads up to Odie's Knob, named after Odie Bedingfield.
And you met Odie
I
Bedingfield.
met Odie Bedingfield, gosh, this is probably 40 years ago, and Chief used to talk about one of the skills Odie possessed is he was an excellent tracker. If you had to go find somebody, we could have used his tracking skills.
I'm saying that could have been handy that night. So we have left Camp Mondamin. We
Yeah.
have would have walked on the road through the woods, through Camp Green Cove to this point. So how far would a hike have been
Oh,
at
this
point?
may be a little over a mile, maybe.
A little over a mile. Here comes
Oh,
the
yeah.
group. All right, so we're getting ready to head up to
Yeah.
Odie's Knob, and then we'll
Yeah.
pick up from there.
Hey folks, here we are on the trail, and behind us is Odie's Knob.
And we've actually started hiking now.
Yeah, we have.
We've probably made it, how far, Gary?
Oh, maybe 3 football fields.
Yeah, there you go. But it's mountains, you know.
Yeah.
So Odie's Knob, I mean, we talked about it at the entrance. So we are at Odie's, and it's gorgeous. I don't know if it's going to come out in this video, but it's
Yeah.
behind us. We'll go up a little bit.
Yeah.
And all right, let's keep hiking.
Here we are in what we call the back 40 at a trail fork. And back when Mark and I were here, this was simply a fork in the trail. Now it's got a name, Crazy Eye. We didn't have signs back then.
We did not, and I'm
No.
behind the camera, but there's another sign on this tree
For
Dorse
Dorse
End
End
Road.
Road.
There was no such thing when we were here.
No,
And there were like 5 Jeep trails, like
Yeah.
New York City or something.
it's a web.
A web, you know what? And I just walked through a spider web.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're making headway. Gary has just said, dang, I think we should have been over there. So we're at one of those places where the trail goes this way and that way. We're in the wilderness. I'm sure for most people, they would know where we are. But Gary, do you know where you are? He's checking the map. He's pretty sure he knows where he is. All right, carry on, move forward. So we are at what I guess Gary would call five corners. Those people in Columbia or Atlanta or those towns that have all these roads. And there are some signs here and there, but not a one of them, Gary, says Beech Point.
Yes, but here we are at this intersection.
I'm taking your word for it.
And it's only this far.
And how far we've come compared to that.
It's only that far to Beech Point. Oh, we've done 5 or 6 of those.
Perfect. Ready to go?
Yeah.
Move ahead.
There you go, through the leaves. We paused here so Mark can have reassurance.
I'm telling you, there were times I didn't think, Gary, you were going to find it.
Well, and there it is, Beech Point.
And we're just 50 yards away probably.
Yeah.
Maybe 75. I'm ready. Ready, Gary?
I'm ready.
All right, Gary?
Where are we, Mark?
We are Beech Point.
Beech Point.
Made it.
Made it.
Didn't get lost once.
It only took us, let's see, it only took us 49 years, or is it 71? Yeah,
Well,
49 years and 2 months
to get here.
to get here.
And I've been here maybe a couple times in the early 70s,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've not been back since
But
then.
the two of us to bring our cabins here. So this goes out to any of our former cabin mates.
Including March Wells, if he ever sees
Yeah.
this. And
Here we are.
there's an outhouse up the hill here. That wasn't here. We just
No.
had to go in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have a seat in front and wrap
Yeah.
this up. And
Yeah.
thank you, Gary. We
And
found it.
celebrate. We're going to celebrate.
I know, got my water.
We still have to get back though.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Well, here we are,
We are here.
sitting on the, I guess you could call it a porch, under the overhang of the Beech Point cabin.
And so beech is a beech tree. Just
Yeah,
in case.
and there's a bunch of them around here along with, I see Fraser magnolias and white oaks, but I don't know if back then I knew a beech tree from a beech, anyway.
I get that. Now, is the creeks down there, but where's the spring where we would get water from? Do you remember?
Well, I think ideally,
Yeah.
because it crosses a road on up there. Up above this road, maybe you could, I used to get water on upstream here.
Well, I have
above the road.
Yeah, bad story about water here, but we
Yeah.
won't go into that. But
Yeah.
so it took us, if we were walking from camp, probably would have been an hour and a half, like you
Yeah.
said. And probably not much shorter days. We stopped a lot for pictures and
We did.
things. But it took us that night. Well, we never got here.
Never got here.
And we had hiked how long?
Oh,
Hours.
Hours.
With a bunch of 11-year-olds who were starting to mutiny.
Yeah, and it was June, and so the days were long. So
That's true. That's true. And this cabin looks pretty much like it did then. So it would have been built that summer, right?
it was built in the spring of '71.
So right, we were
So
one
it
of the
was
first
brand
ones.
new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was probably June camp.
Yep.
Well, Gary got us here.
Well, here we are.
I hope Gary can get us back.
I hope I can.
It's been a good episode, right, Gary?
It's been a good episode.
So if you're listening to this as an audio, we suggest you find us at YouTube
Yep.
and check out the video so you can see these pictures. This has been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks for leading the way, Gary.
All right.
It's too bad you couldn't have led the way this well back in 1971, but hey,
That could have
you know,
changed everything. Who knows?
You never know.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Well-
better thank our sponsors real quick. If we can
All right,
remember.
yeah, let's thank our
Okay.
sponsors.
So-
Big Whiz Pocket Buddy
That's right, Rabbit Island. We were actually just feet away from Rabbit Island.
from Rabbit Island Resort. Yeah, yeah.
L.J. Myers and his professional white dove releases.
Salute Outfitters.
There you go.
And Big Eddie's Green River Tap Room.
We've been on there only once lately, and yet we
Yeah.
need to practice that some more.
Yeah.
And you know what? Our friends out here, they could be sponsors too.
Yeah.
You can see
Boom.
us-
You hear that? That's
Yep.
hickory nuts.
Sound to fall.
Hitting
Sound
the
to fall.
tin. Yeah.
So they can be sponsors. Check us out, www.garyandmark.com. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening. It's been fun.
This is Gary.
This is Mark, signing off.